Welcome back to educator.com. We're going to go over volume of a cylinder. Okay, so remember volume is how much space is inside the solid. So we're going to go over cylinder, and a cylinder is like a can, right? A can of soup, a can of corn. So how much space is inside? How much can you fill it up with? Okay, that is volume. Now, to find the volume of a cylinder, it's actually the same exact formula as volume of a rectangular prism or a triangular prism. Okay, so volume of a cylinder is the same as the volume of a prism. We find the area of the base and multiply it to the height of the prism. I'm sorry, in this case, cylinder. So, for a cylinder, the base is a circle. So this up here and this down here, those are the bases. And for a cylinder, because it's a circle, we're going to find the area of the circle and then multiply it to the height of this cylinder. So the area of a circle is pi r squared. Pi r squared, and that has to do with just the base, and that's it. And then times the height, which is this right here. Okay, so remember r is the radius. So the radius of the circle over here is from the center of the circle to a point on the circle. And that's radius. Pi is 3.14. So we're going to take these measurements and we're going to multiply to find the volume of a cylinder. So let's go over some examples. Volume is the area of the base, which is the area of the circle. Okay, so let's find the area of the circle. Okay, times the height. This is pi r squared. Okay, that's the formula to find the area of a circle, and then times the height of that cylinder. Pi is 3.14. The radius is 4. So it's 4 squared. 4 to the power of 2, that means 4 times 4. It's not 4 times 2. And the height of the cylinder, okay, from this base to the other base is 10. Okay. Now remember, here we have to first take care of the exponent before we multiply these two numbers together. Be careful not to multiply those two and then square it. You'll get the wrong answer. Okay, this is part of order of operations when you have different things you can do. So we can multiply and we can take care of the exponent. You always have to take care of the exponent first before you multiply. So if you ever see exponents, then you have to do the exponent first, and then you can go ahead and multiply. So 3.14, okay, we're going to leave that for now. Okay, here, 4 squared. 4 squared is 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16, okay, and then times 10. So now we can go ahead and just multiply these numbers together. 3.14 times 16 times 10. So 3.14 times 16. When you multiply numbers with decimals, okay, you don't have to line them up. That's only when you add and subtract. Okay, so we're just going to multiply these numbers together. Ignore the decimal point for now. You're just going to multiply 314 times 16. So 4 times 6 is 24. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 2, 8. 6 times 3 is 18. Okay, I'm going to leave that space alone. So 1 times 4, 4. 1 times 1, 3. Now you're going to add these numbers together. So this is 4. This is 12. This is 10. And 5. Then from the two numbers, our original numbers, look for how many numbers are behind decimal points. There's no decimal point here. We only see one, so then I have a total of 2 numbers behind decimal points. So I'm going to place 2 numbers behind the decimal point in my answer. Okay, that's 50.24. So 3.14 times 16. Okay, 50.24, and then I'm going to multiply this number times 10. So a shortcut way, remember if you're multiplying a number times 10, I have 1 0 in 10. So I'm going to take my decimal point and I'm just going to move it 1 space. Okay, 1 0, 1 space. Here, now I'm going to either have to move it either to the left or to the right. Because I'm multiplying by 10, I want to make my number bigger, right? If I'm multiplying it, then it has to get bigger. So, in order for me to make this number 50 is my whole number. In order to make this number bigger, I need to move the decimal point over to the right. Okay, so it's going to now go right there. My volume is, my numbers stay the same, just my decimal point moved. So there's the new spot for my decimal point. Okay, and that's going to be 50.24 times 10. Again, okay, so if you were to multiply this number by 100, 100 has 2 zeros, right? So you would move that decimal point over 2 spaces. So it'd be 1, 2, right there. So whenever you multiply a number like 10, 100, 1,000, any of those numbers, you're just going to see, you count how many numbers or zeros there are in that number, and you're going to move your decimal point over that many spaces. Okay, so this right here, that's our answer, that's the volume. Look for units, centimeters. For volume, remember it's always going to be units cubed to the 3rd power. Okay, and that's your answer. Okay, the volume for the cylinder here. Let's do a couple more examples. So here, the circle is our base. And then here I have from point on the circle to another point on the circle passing through the center. That is the diameter of a circle, right? Now, if I want to find the area of this circle here, okay, the area of the circle times the height. I need to find the radius. I need the radius, not the diameter. So it's pi r squared times the height. Diameter is twice the length of my radius, because radius goes from the center to the point on the circle, so that's the radius right there. Okay. And from here to here, that's also a radius, right? So diameter is twice my radius. Now, then, to find my radius, I just have to take my diameter and divide it by 2. Cut it in half. Okay, so then my radius is, my diameter is 20, my radius will be 10. Okay, it's just half the diameter. So pi, again, is 3.14. My radius is 10 squared. And then the height of my cylinder is 8 inches. Okay, remember again, be careful, do not multiply these numbers together first. You have to take care of that exponent first. Okay, always exponents before multiplying. So keep this number for now. 10 squared, be careful, this is not 20, it's 10 times 10 is 100, and then times the 8. Okay, so here we're taking a number, we're multiplying it by 100. So Whenever you multiply it by 100, you have 2 zeros there. You're going to move the decimal point over 2 spaces. Again, we're going to move to the right because we want to make this number bigger. So if you go 1, 2 spaces, the decimal point is now going to go behind the 4. So this number, after you multiply it to 100, it becomes 314. Then multiply that number by our height of the cylinder, which is 8. 314 times 8. 4 times 8 is 32. 8 times 1 is 8. Add the 3, get 11. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 1 is 25. Now, I don't have any decimal points here, so I don't have to move or place any decimal points in my answer. So, the volume of this is 2,512. My units, inches cubed. Cubed to the third power, that's always for volume, right? So this is the volume of this cylinder. Okay, be careful if they give you the diameter. Just remember, radius is half the diameter, so you just have to divide that number by 2. And for the third example, here's another cylinder. Okay, so this cylinder is, it's positioned a little bit differently, but keep in mind, this circle is always going to be the base. Okay, so when we look for the area of the circle times the height, the circle pi r squared times the height. You always want to look for the base. This right here is not the height of the cylinder. Okay, since we know that this is the base and this is the base, the height is always going to be the distance between the two bases. Okay, so from circle to circle, okay, that's the distance. So this is actually the height. Now, here I'm given the diameter, right? Because it's from point on the circle to another point on the circle passing through the center. That's a diameter. Okay, I want the radius. The radius is half my diameter. Okay, so I just want half of that. This is my radius that I want. So the whole thing is 12, then my radius is going to be 6. So pi, I'm going to use 3.14. The radius is 6 squared times the height, which is 7. Now again, we have to take care of this exponent before we are going to multiply any numbers together. So 3.14 times 6 squared, that's 6 times 6, which is 36. And then we're going to multiply that number to 7. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply those two numbers together. 3.14 times 36. Okay, 4 times 6 is 24. That's 6. Add the 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. Okay, leave the space alone. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 1, 3. Add the 1 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. We're going to add these two numbers together. So here's 4. That's 10. This is 9. This is 13. 9, 10, 11. Okay. Now we have to go back to our original number and see how many numbers are behind decimal points. So here we only have 2, right? These two numbers are behind decimal points. So my answer, I'm going to place 2 numbers behind the decimal point, which is right there. Okay, so I get 113.04 times, now this number 7. Okay, so just write it again right here, times 7. Okay, 4 times 7 is 28. Okay, this times this 0, add the 2. This is 21, 7, 9, and 7. Okay, I have 2 numbers behind decimal points. So then I have to place 2 numbers behind the decimal point here. And my answer then becomes my units, centimeters to the 3rd power, units cubed. Okay. So that's my volume of the cylinder. And that is it for this lesson. Thank you for watching educator.com.